come out to play. Warriors, come out to play. Warriors, come out to play.
In Africa, we had a reason to be born there. So we have a God. We have our gods and we have our mode of worship.
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your head wrap roll. Come on. Kings, got us feeling like we ain't trap brown. All my brothers, put your hand on the chest now.
Freedom's what we need, more solutions is the key. Wave the banner of the free, that's the red, black, and green. Bringing truth to the streets, war to get no enemy. If it's peace, we at ease. If it's war, we don't cease. EYEs on the crackers and police. Never slack up even when we free, cause we ain't free until we get the land, that's the green. Black power, new African, liberated from the thieves, nothing better else to be.
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your head wrap roll. Come on. Kings, got us feeling like we ain't trap brown. All my brothers, put your hand on your chest now.
Stimulated cause I'm liberated. Rock me Africa medallion in the middle of the clan. Situation freedom come drum playing by the river. I deliver for my people. It's the sequel of revenge. My friends get ready. Every neat shell valve, every tone shell tail on the mountain I reveal. Throw the shells, pour light side up. Dark one up in my cup, pour it out and then I strike. Alafia, yeah.
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your head wrap roll. Come on. Kings, got us feeling like we ain't trap brown. All my brothers, put your hand on your chest now.
When the African doesn't want to understand or participate in the reason why he was born,
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your head wrap roll. Come on. Kings, got us feeling like we ain't trap brown. All my brothers, put your hand on your chest now.
see, Africa has not been able to contribute its own knowledge to this universe. But we have knowledge in Africa. You understand?
Yeah, of course.
You see, so all these things need to be in the education system of the African countries.
Leave it up to Pure Black, man, to start it off, man. Peace to everybody out there. Good evening. Lafayette, eBay, Jama Mboka. It's your boy Sean P in the place to be on the west side of Africa all day. Peace to everybody in the chat, man. Please like the show, share the show. This is going to be a very informative show, okay? Everything that I'm going to refer to in this build is going to be in the description of the video. There's a treat that I actually have for everybody that I've inserted, and I want you to support what's actually going on. Now, this is a really big topic, and it continues to be rehashed every year. It doesn't matter what side of the fight that you're on, some kind of weird way, this continues to keep being rehashed. And a lot of the reasons for it being rehashed is because we have a community of people who are claiming to be indigenous to this land or native to this land or aboriginal to North America. and or the Americas, and they are fighting for an identity, and they're trying to look for history to substantiate the existence of a presence which would help them identify. If it's not through that, then it's through genealogy, which doesn't tell one's biology. I'm gonna say that again. Genealogy doesn't tell the biological makeup of a human being at all. So it tells a partial story, only so much that could actually be referred to. Now, please help me, y'all. Like the show, share the show. I see a lot of familiar faces in the building already in the chat. Those of you who have not commented in the chat, peace to you. Those of you who will catch the replay, peace to you as well. Yes, the title of the show is called The Olmec Argument of the Ancestors by Dr. Van Sertima and Runoko Rashidi. Rest in power, if that's the Christian thing to say to those brothers. And you know what I mean? As far as you know, how we look at it, you know, we want to honor them and their efforts and their work that they bestowed upon us. We already know where this is going to go. We know Leo Wiener's name is going to come up. We know that J.A. Rogers' name might come up. We know that, you know, not only Van Sertima and Rashidi's name coming up, but somebody else's name going to come up. People are always name dropping the same names in this argument, and they never go beyond that. A lot of people are not even familiar with Leo Wiener's work, and that's part of the problem. But you're really unfamiliar with African work. For those of you brothers and sisters who came to identify as descendants of Africans here in the Americas and the diaspora, you don't know your own ancestral history. If you believe that Black people came from the Americas to the New World and helped civilize the people who were here 21 to 23,000 years ago and who couldn't figure life out for themselves, who migrated in packs through Northern and Southern America once the glacial, one wave of people during the last glacial maximum, and another coming up from the South America, the Americas. So we gotta be honest there in that. Now, if you think I'm crazy, then you can prove me wrong. I have no problem with correction. I am not going to get into my feelings. I am not the research guy. I am not Dan Calloway, Aboriginal Power, Autonomous One. I'm not Chief Holiday. I'm not the other chief dude. All these people coming out of the woodworks with these new names and no geographical, sociological, linguistic, basically it's just all the same. They ain't got no science. They ain't got no methodology. They ain't got nothing. So what we're going to do today is we're going to bring out the Black myth. Now, I don't know if this is going to end the Black myth, but I would hope it would propel you as a listener and those of you in the chat that are going to be conversating tonight. I hope it will propel you in your studies and help you share correct information to everyone. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and start with my first source. I want to do this the proper way, right? Many people have already seen this source. If you haven't, I would suggest you read it thoroughly for yourself. As I am only going to get into a little bit of this source because I've read it before, and I don't want to spend a lot of time doing a literature review with everyone when I am providing the information for you to also comb through. And unlike these other channels that don't give you anything but lip service. What up, old dogs, new tricks? So a lot of people took offense to this article in the Black community. One of the reasons is because it said robbing Native American cultures, Van Sertima's Afrocentricity, and the Olmecs. They looked at it as slander toward the ancestor. Now, I will tell you this, and I will get this out because I do know that there will be a few Native American brothers and sisters who will review this video because it's in their groups, and they will be in support of this particular video, possibly or maybe not. Who knows? But I want to say this to those brothers and sisters that are Native American and who have congratulated me for my efforts in trying to dispel a lot of the myths regarding the Aboriginals and the so-called indigenous peoples of America that deny their African ancestry, so to say. I said this once before on a Facebook post. As long as you're not disrespecting Dr. Van Sertima, Runoko, Rashidi, and the likes, then your critique is always warranted. It bothers us when you, and I'm saying us as in the real researchers, when you disrespect them. And a lot of that is out of your own ignorance. And I say that because the notion that Van Sertima should forefront this particular argument is not really a legitimate one. It is he, Leo Weiner, that should be the target of every bullet. However, Van Sertima does deserve some credit for regurgitating that which he some information that he received from Leo Weiner. And to add, some people have even mixed up Dr. Van Sertima's claims. And that is another problem. So you have to go back and you have to correct yourself and realize that he didn't say certain things that people are out here claiming. Now, you might see them discuss that in the chat, but that's neither here nor there at this particular moment. Let's move on. So this article was written by Gabriel Haslip Vieira, Bernard Ortiz de Montellano, and Warren Barber. Okay. They start off in 1976. Van Sertima proposed that New World civilizations were strongly influenced by diffusion. Now, remember, we put this word out there to a lot of people and they didn't understand what it is, hyperdiffusionism. But however, this is Van Sertima's perspective. Influenced by diffusion from Africa. The first and most important contact, he argued, was between Nubians and Olmecs in 700 BC. And it was followed by other contacts from Mali in 1300 AD. This theory has spread widely in the African American community, both lay and scholarly, but it has never been evaluated at length by Mesoamericanists. This article shows the proposal to be devoid of any foundation. First, no genuine African artifact has ever been found in control of archaeological excavation in the New World. I repeat, no genuine African artifact has ever been found in controlled archaeological excavations in the New World. The presence of African origin plants such as bottle gourd or of African genes in the New World cotton shows that there was contact between the Old and New World. But this contact occurred too long ago to have involved any human agency and is irrelevant to Egyptian Olmec contact. The colossal Olmec heads, which resembles a stereotypical Negroid, were carved hundreds of years before the arrival of the presumed models. Additionally, Nubians, who come from a desert environment and have long, high noses, do not resemble their supposed portraits. Claims for diffusion of the pyramid building and mummification are also fallacious. In his 1976 book, They Came Before Columbus, Ives Van Sertima argued that Negroid Africans had come to the Americas at various times before the European discovery and had either inspired or influenced the development of the first civilization to emerge of these continents. Like other pseudoscientific writings that had been published until the time, The book was either completely ignored or generally dismissed by anthropologists, historians, and other academic professionals. Except for a brief reference by Glenn Daniel in 1976, it was never reviewed in any other professional journals. Daniel, who also reviewed Barry Fell's America BC 1976, dismissed it, but neither he nor any other academic professional ever developed a detailed or cognitive response to the main thrust of Van Sertima's ideas. As Daniel himself predicted, the book became a profitable venture for both Van Sertima and his publisher. Readers were apparently attracted by the real mysteries that surrounded the subject, the origins and evolution of civilizations in the Americas. At the same time, the book received the attention of enthusiastic support of small but increasingly influential group of cultural naturalists in the African American community. So by the late 1980s, Van Sertima ideas were being heartily endorsed by Malife Asante, one of the gurus of the Afrocentric movement, Asante and Matson. So this movement in all its complexities emerged from the cultural nationalization of the 1960s and 70s with clearly articulated theories of human development that incorporated Van Sertima's ideas on the origins of the civilizations in Americas. According to the Afrocentrists, all of the world's early civilizations, including those of ancient Egypt, ancient Mesopotamia, India, China, Europe, and the Americas, were created or inspired by racially Black peoples. In articulating these claims, Afrocentrists relied heavily on the ideas of Cheikh Anta Diop. Just bring Cheikh Anta Diop in this. Chancellor Williams, John G. Jackson, George G.M. James, and others. These writers reformulated the standard 19th and early 20th century European and North American racial concepts in such a way that Afrocentrists could promote hegemonic Black model of human development. In his 1974 book, The African Origins of Civilization, Myth or Reality, Diop accepted the standard tripartite division of the human species into Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid, and subdivided the Black race into persons with predominantly straight or wavy hair, such as the Dravidians of India, and persons with predominantly curly and tightly coiled hair, such as the Igbo of Nigeria. In an attempt to incorporate as many groups as possible into Negro category, Diop also accepted the racist Western definition of Blackness as any degree of Black or African ancestry. Of course, once these race concepts were reformulated, that is, they could be applied to and reinterpreted his history of civilization and human development with predictable results. I want to skip ahead real quick, and I want to get to one more piece, and then I want to go into the bill. So, according to Van Sertima's hypothesis, the Nubian rulers of ancient Egypt organized an expedition with the help of Phoenicians to obtain various commodities, including iron, from sources of the Atlantic coast of North Africa, Europe, and British Isles during the late 8th and 7th century BC. This expedition allegedly sailed from the Nile Delta of the Levant across the Mediterranean through the Pillars of Hercules and down to the Atlantic coast of the North Africa, where it was caught in the some current or storm that sent it across the Atlantic to the Americas. Following the prevailing wind and ocean currents, that expedition allegedly sailed and drifted westward from some unspecified location in the Eastern Caribbean or the Bahamas or the Gulf Coast of Mexico, where it came in contact with the receptive but inferior Olmecs. According to the scenario at this point, the Olmec presumably accepted the leaders of Nubian Egyptian expedition as their rulers. And these individuals in turn created, inspired, or influenced the creation of Olmec civilization, which in turn influenced Monte Albin, Teotihuacan, and the classic Mayan and all other Mesoamerican civilizations that followed. In Van Sertima's scenario, the Nubians became the models of the colossal Stonehenge, with the Olmecs produced in the years that followed the alleged contact. They also presided over a mixed crew of voyages that included Egyptians, Phoenicians, and several women. The Nubians subsequently provided the impetus for the building of pyramids and ceremonial centers and introduced a number of technological innovations and practices like mummification, seer Purdue metallurgy, the symbolic use of the purple murex dye, weaving, etc., which presumably influenced the Mesoamerican religion, mythology, customs, and even the calendar. This enormous number of claims and several large volumes could be needed to deal with all of them. In this essay, this is what they discuss. They also will deal with Van Sertima's historical methodology, his use of sources, and his writings in iconography and linguistics. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move forward into our perspective from Van Sertima. And then I'm going to come back to the other side of this thing. All right, so before I do this, I want to give a shout out to Everybody Hates Angel. He's got a nice little following, people and stuff on his channel. In this particular video, it does require some corrections. I've actually messaged him to inform him that he needs to update some information in this particular video. I haven't received a return message, but hopefully that he'll receive it in all honesty. But as you can see right here, there's a reference to Columbus, and black-skinned people had come from the southeast in boats trading in gold-tipped spears. He needs to actually look at the evidence and reference. He actually needs to look at the primary, and he also needs to look at what they were referring to, because the metallurgy in that particular area didn't have no gold tips, and there wasn't even no black people. So he has to clean that up if he wants to. Now, let me go ahead and play this part. And I'm not pouncing on this brother's work. I'm just trying to set the stage for how people think and why they think the way they do.
For Columbus himself wrote in his journal, black-skinned people had come from the southeast in boats, trading in gold-tipped spears. This was documented in 1920 by renowned American historian and linguist Leo Weiner of Harvard University in his book Africa and the Discovery of America. One of the first documented instances of Africans sailing and settling in the Americas were Black Egyptians led by King Ramses III during the 19th dynasty in 1292 BC. In 1311 AD, another major wave of African exploration to the New World was led by King Abu Bakari II, the ruler of the 14th century Mali Empire, which was larger than the Roman Empire. The king sent out 200 ships of men and 200 ships of trade material, crops, animals, cloth, and African knowledge of astronomy, religion, and art. Travel in the seas and oceans was not a European invention, but in fact was started by the African people. In the early 1940s, archaeologists uncovered a civilization known as the Olmecs of 1200 BC, which predated any other advanced civilization in the Americas. The Olmec civilization, which was of African origin and dominated by Africans. This was the first significant civilization in the Americas. Olmecs are known for the giant carved heads found in central Mexico that have unmistakable African Negroid features. Historian Professor Ivan Van Sertima explains how Olmecs were the first Mesoamerican civilization to use a written language, sophisticated astronomy, arts, and mathematics, and they built the first cities in Mexico, all of which greatly influenced the Mayans and other Native American civilizations. Africans played an integral role in the Olmec Empire's rise, and that African influence was happening during the same period as the ancient Black Egyptian civilization. Need more evidence? Easy. They found narcotics, cocaine, and nicotine native to America inside ancient Egyptian mummies. These substances are only derived from American plants. This could only happen by trade between Africa and America. Need more? They found...
Now, real quick, yes, you heard the brother bring up cocaine mummies. And it's kind of sad because I don't know if y'all remember the brother who used to make videos all the time. I forget I forget his name on YouTube, but he used to make the videos, and he was real good at doing the little snip clips tying them together, and then he would send them to he hit me up the other day, and he was asking me the same information. Cocaine mummies. Ezra. I don't know if y'all remember Ezra. But anyway, there's a book. It's called Egyptian Mummies in Modern Science by Rosalie David. And it talks about the cocaine mummies. And I'm gonna bring that up. Well, let me try to do it now. Shoot, I'm talking about it. Hold on, let me transfer my sources. I will bring it up on the screen just so that I can kind of get rid of this, because we do have a nice little crowd in here. And I don't want them to think that I am trying to gloss over anything. I want them to get the right stuff. You know what I'm talking about? So let me transfer this over. And I'm gonna get this for all y'all. Cause y'all know what this is. But I'm gonna let this play out, and then I'm gonna come back to the cocaine mummies.
Statues of animals like lions, elephants, and gorillas, which are not found in the Americas, but in Africa in Native American civilization. The Mayans, Aztecs, and Incas all worship black gods. They have paintings and surviving artwork that show dark-skinned gods with Negro features with woolly hair. But one of the major things is American pyramids. Pyramid construction is highly specialized. Ancient Egyptians started out with the step pyramids and eventually progressed to the smooth pyramids you see in Giza. But in La Venta, Mexico, the Olmecs made a fully finished pyramid. The Olmecian and Egyptian periods were both placed on the same north-south axis and had the same construction methods. Both the pyramids in America and Africa served the same dual purpose: tombs and temples. What I'm telling you is only a tiny fraction of the similarities. The Olmecs created and carved the heads of the African explorers who came from Africa and taught them about religion, mathematics, astronomy, civilization, and so much more, to forever praise them and show gratitude for the gifts Africa gave to the Americas. Clearly, Africans helped civilize America way.
Now, I want you to listen to this again, because it is significant, right? I apologize to y'all, but I really need y'all to hear this again. I want you to hear how dangerous this is.
One of the first documented instances of Africans sailing and settling in the Americas were Black Egyptians led by King Ramses III during the 19th dynasty in 1292 BC. In 1311 AD, another major wave of African exploration to the New World was led by King Abu Bakari II, the ruler of the 14th century Mali Empire, which was larger than the Roman Empire. The king sent out 200 ships of men and 200 ships of trade material, crops, animals, cloth, and African knowledge of astronomy, religion, and art. Travel in the seas and oceans was not a European invention, but in fact was started by the African people. In the early 1940s, archaeologists uncovered a civilization known as the Olmecs of 1200 BC, which predated any other advanced civilization in the Americas. The Olmec civilization, which was of African origin and dominated by Africans. This was the first significant civilization in the Americas. Olmecs are known for the giant carved heads found in central Mexico that have unmistakable African Negroid features. Historian Professor Ivan van Sertima explains how Olmecs were the first Mesoamerican civilization to use a written language, sophisticated astronomy, arts, and mathematics, and they built the first cities in Mexico, all of which greatly influenced the Mayans and other Native American civilizations. Africans played an integral role in the Olmec Empire's rise, and that African influence was happening during the same period as the ancient Black Egyptian civilization. Need more evidence? Easy. They found narcotics, cocaine, and nicotine native to America inside ancient Egyptian mummies. These substances are only derived from American plants. This could only happen by trade between Africa and America. Need more? They found statues of animals like lions, elephants, and gorillas, which are not found in the Americas, but in Africa in Native American civilization. The Mayans, Aztecs, and Incas all worship black gods. They have paintings and
Let me stop right there. So let's go ahead and get the cocaine mummy stuff out of the way. Here's the text. This is the book. I just want to make that known. Let's go directly to 214. All right, it says, her papers reporting the discovery of cocaine hair from the Egyptian mummies are lacking in detail with regard to the methodology used. It can only be speculated that the method used was similar to the report in her original work, but this does not provide important detail, particularly relating to the GCMS analysis in terms of retention times in chromatography phase. Use of controlled samples and whether identification was based on detection. I know y'all can't see that, so I'm gonna put it up here. Can y'all see it now? Yeah, there you go. All right, so you can pause the video and you can read this. Or if you're smart, you just ask me for this information later. Again, this is the source. And the last page is what I provided you. Now, this is important right here. The cocaine alternative explained. If Balabanova, that's the person's results, that's the person who reporting cocaine. Y'all didn't know her name. If Balabanova's results are indeed correct, or without reevaluation of her extracts or retesting of the original mummies she worked on, this is difficult to accept. Then other possible explanations must be considered. The evidence of transatlantic trade and the presence of the cocaine mummies documentary is unconvincing. A much similar explanation is that the Munich mummies could have been inadvertently contaminated either in the laboratory or at some earlier point in history. That's one of the things. I know you're like, man, that don't say nothing, right? That don't say nothing. Okay, so let's skip all the back and forth and let's just deal with how we want to deal with it. In summary, Morella's proposal that opium was imported into Egypt from Cyprus during the New Kingdom cannot be confirmed. Reevaluation of the Cyprus-based two-ring ware seems unlikely to implicate bilbil juglets, which were more probably contained a perfume product, possibly Civetone-based. As for the Blue Lotus, scientific evidence does not support the use of Nymphia cerola as a narcotic or aphrodisiac, although it may have had health benefits due to its high bioflavonoid content. Nicotine has been found in Egyptian mummies in small quantities, consistent with a trace of dietary source, possibly derived from celery, but not at the levels expected from tobacco use. The levels of cocaine reported in South American mummies are consistent with the habit of cocoa leaf chewing. The levels reported in Egyptian mummies are very low, below the level agreed upon for a positive result by some laboratories at the limited detection by the technical standards for GCMS in the early 1990s. The results are therefore unreliable. The possibility of modern contamination cannot be ruled out, but either way, it seems highly unlikely that the ancient Egyptians were exposed to cocaine during their lifetime. Of course, there's more to it in the argument. I just wanted to give all of you with short attention spans the real deal real quick. Okay? So, let's go back to my brother's video and let him finish out. And now you can see why we are where we are with the very first source I began to read.
Surviving artwork that showed dark-skinned gods with Negro features with woolly hair. But one of the major things is American pyramids. Pyramid construction is highly specialized. Ancient Egyptians started out with the step pyramids and eventually progressed to the smooth pyramids you see in Giza. But in La Venta, Mexico, the Olmecs made a fully finished pyramid. The Olmecian and Egyptian periods were both placed on the same north-south axis and had the same construction methods. Both the pyramids in America and Africa served the same dual purpose: tombs and temples. What I'm telling you is only a tiny fraction of the similarities. The Olmecs created and carved the heads of the African explorers who came from Africa and taught them about religion, mathematics, astronomy, civilization, and so much more.
Now, my question to you, Brother Angel, would be, and you're a good brother, but my question to you would be, why would Africans want to leave where they're from and travel to an unknown place, one which they feared, another which they don't know what will actually succumb of it, and then don't leave any documented writings behind? Because initially the onset of the argument is that the Nubians left. Well, guess what? The Nubians knew Metal Nature. They knew how to write. You said they coming over here with a writing system, teaching them this, that, and the third, right? So why wouldn't they write anything, document their transactions, document all these things, and then bring them back to their lands and even stuff from their meetings with or trade with these particular people? Another question would be, how could they communicate with a complete stranger if they're from Nubia and these people, these Mesoamerican people, are over here, right? And they're doing their thing. Or are you saying, or are you insinuating that the Nubians left Egypt, came over here and started, the Nubians left Africa, came over here and started settling? Because they have to. Now, here's why I'm asking that, because if you look at the language that is spoken in ancient Nubia and even along the Nile, right? Everywhere along the Nile, if you look at the languages over there, and then you look at the Mesoamerican languages, there's no way that they can communicate with each other. So something between the two of them, a trade language, would have to be established. Now, why would I bring up a trade language? Because a trade language is essential here. A trade language is what we see between the Arabs and the Egyptians. You catch what I'm throwing? Or the Egyptians and another people, right? Or for instance, the Tomahawk. Since that word gets thrown around a whole lot, right? We have to take all of these things into an account. What was the trade language? Because it's clear that the Mesoamericans don't know Medu Neter, couldn't speak Ronnie Kemet, so there's no way all of that's going to work itself out. No way. Or are you saying that is not the case? You understand me? All right, so let me stop right here with the Olmec, because I don't want Angel to go too far, because he blacked it all the way out, and he was almost done. Let me let him finish.
To forever praise them and show gratitude for the gifts Africa gave to the Americas. Clearly, Africans helped civilize America way before Europeans even knew America existed, and way before Europeans claimed to have civilized Africa. So now you know the African people definitely discovered the Americas before the Europeans. You know they civilized the Native Americans. You know,
how in the hell could they civilize the Native Americans? Now let me tell y'all something else. This would be very intriguing information. If they came here before Columbus, right? Don't you think that the Africans that came here before Columbus would have brought with them old world diseases that would have been wiping Indians out a whole lot sooner? So no matter what they were teaching them, hell, they would have been dying, because they don't know nothing about those diseases. We're regurgitating. So now, ladies and gentlemen, when this article comes about, right? When this article comes about, Let me make sure y'all can see that. Okay, there you go. When they're writing this article right here, look at, now you know the intent and purpose of the article. It has profound effects. It is devaluing the accomplishments of the Mesoamerican people, or the Paleo-Indians, is what they was called before. So let's move on a little bit more, and let's get back to the bill. And we're gonna throw some shots at each one of these. Now, news source, the colossal heads. Remember, all my sources are in the description of the video. Let me repeat that. All of my sources are in the description of the video. Meaning, right? Meaning that you can review anything that I talk about or demonstrate or show. You can review it for yourself, and then you use the evidence to confirm and come to your own honest conclusion. I'm not going to tell you to. I'm not here to make you think. I'm here to help you learn. I don't need you thinking. I need you learning. What I need you learning: proper research methodology, how to scrutinize sources, how to compile evidence, substantiate the evidence, right? How to look at certain material and recognize that it is pseudo. Moving forward. Let me zoom in a little bit because I know we old now. We ain't as young as we used to be. And you're looking at a cell phone, so it might be bad on your eyes. Now, it says colossal heads. The best known and perhaps the most impressive category of Olmec monumental sculptures is that of the colossal heads. Let me pause real quick. We're at the colossal heads because of Van Sertima, and then the regurgitation that Brother Angel put down, and other people that like to claim it. That is why Runoko Rashidi is in the title. That is why Van Sertima is in the title. And now we have Angel saying what he's saying, good brother, but we see where it's coming from. We heard Leo Wiener's name come up by Angel, right? So let's go a little bit further, because we only getting one. We getting the blackety black. These pieces are certainly the most intensive study of the Olmec monuments, having been subjected to considerable scholarly scrutiny since the discovery of the first such head at the Tres Zapotes. In 1967, the most detailed study of the heads up to that time was presented for 4 Berkeley graduate students, including the author Clulo, Cohen, O'Connell, and Binman. The study gave history of the heads, provided detailed descriptions of the 12 heads that were then known, and presented a stylistic comparison of the pieces based on a series of specific traits, such as ear ornaments, headdresses, chin straps, nasons, mouth and eye form, and head shape. Such a detailed element by the element comparison proved to be a useful device for arriving at stylistic groupings of the heads, a process made possible by the fact that all the heads were complete, even though the defaced in some cases, and were all executed in a consistent manner in the same general category of element appearing, albeit in varied form, on each of the heads. This is contrastation to other categories of the Olmec monuments, in which many of the pieces are broken and decoratively unique, allowing for a no specific piece by piece comparison. Thus, the conclusion of the study bear quoting in some detail. Let me let y'all see this. It is apparent that the 12 colossal heads may be grouped into several clusters of the basis of a number of combinations of elements in general, we might say that the TZ1 and NS1 heads combine to form a distinct group. The 6 San Lorenzo heads, while generally constituting a distinct unit, may be said to break down into 2 subgroups. The SL3, SL4, SL6 may be grouped together on the basis of a number of shared elements. And with some regularity, these 3 heads are shared traits with the heads of the Nestepi and the Tres Zapitas, SL1, SL2, SL5, while all maintaining a certain statistical distinction as San Lorenzo heads, seem to group more often, although somewhat randomly, with La Venta, and less frequently with the Tres Zapitas and the Nestepi, as opposed to a more constant and less random clustering of the smaller San Lorenzo pieces. I know y'all like, what the hell are you talking about? So the 4 La Venta heads, while easily distinguishable as a separate group, seem also to be divisible into 2 subgroups. LV1, LV4 are, in our opinion, rather than different in many ways than the LV2, LV3. This may be in due part to heavy erosion of LV2 and 3, but as the tables above indicate, it is also due to a number of empirically valid differences. So this is a study on the heads. They're grouping the heads and they're letting you know the location of the heads. I am only reading some of this because this is the deep part you got to go. The locations of the heads, how they vary, how they're constructed, you know, with all of the little things that we see on them, the lips, the eyes, the nose, the mask, all of this. This is taking us to those monumental places where all of this is uncovered. And really, people don't even look at this stuff. They don't. They ignore all of this. Everything that I'm talking about. They saying these heads date between 1150 to 900. These sites, not the heads. They're saying the heads about 900 years old. Some Olmec heads. Now, let me move on to another source. Because I walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. All right, now this is gonna be a little good for everybody right here. This got some color in it. All right, this specifically talk about. Look, let me back. Touch colossal heads. So he African, huh? He Nubian, huh? He from Nubia. He from Tasseti. From the land of the 9 bows, huh? What are you trying to say? Inspired by the people from the land of the 9, huh? Then what we getting? All right. Okay. All right. So of the many interpretations of the meaning of the colossal heads, one stands out. That they were portraits of important personages like rulers and priests. Mexico's colossal heads are recognized worldwide for the huge size and extraordinary beauty. They are the most celebrated symbols of the Olmec civilization, which reached its peak between 1400 BCE and 400 BCE on the southern coast of the Gulf of Mexico. 2 questions are often asked about them. What do they represent? And how were they transported? Despite their simplicity, these questions encompass an extremely complex issue involving the structure and function of Olmec society. Of the many interpretations of the meaning of the colossal heads, one stands out. That they were portraits of important personages like rulers and priests. Despite the form of similarity among them, all the faces are different. In addition, each exudes the power and dynamism of great rulers, since these stone sculptures act as political symbols with the connotations of social hierarchy. The inherited symbolism of recycling the throne and a dead ruler to create his colossal portrait sheds new light on the Olmec cult of their ancestors. The heads were for who and for what? symbolisms of recycling the throne of a dead ruler to create his colossal portrait sheds new light on the Olmec cult of their ancestors. San Lorenzo, Tenochtitlan, the first Olmec capital, is the place with the greatest number of colossal heads, 10s in all. Although scholars have assumed that the monumental sculptures were carved out of natural rock, some of them have been recycled. That is, previously existing pieces were recarved to change their form and meaning. This is the case of the most colossal heads from San Lorenzo. It is worthy of a note that some of these pieces were carved out of large thrones, as is noticeable in one that still preserves remnants of the frontal niche of a throne, the flattened features and compressed form of the 9 San Lorenzo 10 heads, as well as the flat sides, must be the result of this recycling process and not indicators of African origins. I'm gonna run that back. The flattened features and compressed form of 9 of San Lorenzo's 10 heads, as well as the flat sides, must be the result of this recycling process and not indicators of African origins, as has sometimes been said. The inherent symbolism of recycling the throne of a dead ruler to create his colossal portrait sheds new light on the Olmec cult of their ancestors and also provides evidence that the recycled heads were not transported from the distant fields of a volcanic rock in the Tuxtlan Mountains, since the rock was reutilized in the very capital of San Lorenzo a short time before its decline around 900 BCE. No. This is also related to the wanting power of the capital's last rulers and their inability to import the rock from far away. Hold on, let me tell him to eat. Tyson, eat. Go ahead, eat. After 1000 BCE, the problems that were to disastrous affect San Lorenzo society began. One of the ways in which they manifested was precisely the increasing recycling of sculptures, which suggests difficulties in obtaining the raw materials and the labor needed to move the monuments. I ain't gonna get into all of that. I'm gonna stop real quick. And I just want to, since we're doing lookership, right? Look like some people y'all know, huh? I can keep going. But I just wanted to stop real quick. Because we now have some answers, right? We should now have some answers about these heads. We got a book on the locations dealing with the archaeological evidence, which helps us to survey the land. Then we have, from an artistic expression, some more detailed information that lets us know what's going on. But we can get into the history of research on the colossal heads, which helps expands the argument. And then I want to get into something else because I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I want to put this on the screen. Since Jose Megler first visited what was the Hacienda de Huipan in 1862 to view the colossal head, which we refer to here as TZ1, and returned to Jalapa to write notable Escritori Antiqua in 1869. A sizable number of reports have been published on the subject of the colossal heads. This literature is discussed here in relation to the following subjects: discovery and description of the heads, racial affliction of the heads, source of the stone for the heads, removal of the head to their present location, the heads in relation to the Olmecs, and bibliographies concerned with the heads. Racial affliction with heads, y'all. We are determining the phenotype of a stone. Are you serious? As stated above, the first colossal head to be discovered and described was TZ1. In his original report, Melgar, 1869, recounts the discovery of the head by a peasant clearing a milpa and in presence a long argument claiming that the Ethiopian features of the head prove they were prehistoric Negroes of Gulf Coast of Mexico. TZ1 was briefly described by German archaeologist Eduard Sachs, and the American amateur Weierster, before it was first fully described by Sterling. The first note on the Laventa head is that of the bloom and the large fog of the LV1, which they discovered while spending a day at the site during the Middle American Research Institute's first expedition to Mesoamerica in what is 1925. However, it was not until the several joint Smithsonian Institution National Geographic Society expeditions to Tres Sopes and La Venta that the heads in these sites were adequately exposed, studied, and described, ladies and gentlemen. This work culminated in Sterling Stone Monuments of South Africa's 1943. In this report, Sterling was able to give measurements, site locations, stylistic features for TZ1, LV1, LV2, LV3, LV4. He noted LV6, L7, 56 through 60, the flat backs that characterize the heads relates to TZ1 to LV1 and LV4, and the states that TZ1 depicts not a Negro, but a broad nose. Not a Negro, but a broad nose. Short face, physiognomy, that is an earlier type found over a considerable area in Middle America. Each of the 12 heads is referred to hereafter by the initials of the site and the number of head. For details on the nomenclature, we got to go see page 16. However, it was on the 1945-46 Smithsonian Institution National Geographic Society expedition to Mexico that the first 5 heads at the site of San Lorenzo were excavated and studied. Although the expedition's work has never been fully published, the monuments have been described by Sterling, and he gives us a preliminary measurements of the heads, describe them, and compared the stone heads known at the time to other stone heads known at the time. He feels that stylistically the heads are so similar and parallels and details are such a force to conclusion that no great time interval could have elapsed during which they were made. It was not until 1965 that descriptions and photographs of the 11th and 12th heads, NS1 and LS6, were published. Although NS1 had been exhibited on the edge of the principal plaza Santiago Tuxtlar, Veracruz, since 1951 and had often been seen as a photograph that had never been described. Therefore, Heiser, Smith, and Williams provided a useful service. Rather than announcing a new discovery in the note on NS1, they described the head, identified its stone source, noted its close resemblance to TZ1, and remarked that all 11 of the heads that were known obviously part of the same sculptural complex. What are you saying, Sean? Get to the nitty-gritty. We get opinions on the racial affiliations of colossal heads, ladies and gentlemen. The question of whether or not the Olmec heads represent Negroes and thus can be taken as evidence of the existence of prehistoric black race in North America has interesting commentators ever since Melgar first saw TZ1 in 1862. Melgar devotes well over half of his original publication to proof of prehistoric North American Ethiopians. Furthermore, in the revised edition of this article, the only changes apparent are slight expansions and improvements of his Ethiopian data. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never heard this name before, the first assertions of Ethiopian Negroes in America comes from Melgar. The practice of relating North America to the Old World, though, analysis of TZ1's racial type was continued by Alfred Shivera, who postulates that in tertiary times, all the continents were united and contained Negro inhabitants who disappeared from many locations when contaminants were later separated. Let me pause real quick. Shivero is talking about what stage the earth was in before the continents began to break and go back. That was 300 and something. That was a way, way, way long time ago, Flip. Wasn't no Homo sapiens way, way back then. No, not at all. None, zero, zilch. So let me continue. Watch that. Y'all gonna start saying, I don't want to say the word in the chat. I don't want to bring up the magical word. So I'm gonna let somebody else in the chat say what the name of it is when all the continents was together and when that actually occurred. So you got to rule Shaviro out of here, but I'm gonna keep reading. Shaviro feels that the Trezopes colossal heads, whose type and clearly Ethiopian, serve as evidence for the presence of early Negro population in Mexico. In addition to Shaviro's work, the question of the Negroid aspect of the heads is considered by D.W. Jeffries in his article entitled The Pre-Columbian Negroes in America. Jeffries accepts the Negro appearance of the colossal heads in 1862 in the Canton Tuxtla as valuable circumstantial evidence for this theory that Arab sailors were indulging in a Negro slave trade with the Indians of Mesoamerica prior to Columbus. I'm going to run that back. Jeffries argues that Arab sailors and Indians of Mesoamerica were involved in a transatlantic slave trade. Jeffries again argues that it was the Arabs and the damn Indians that had a slave trade going on, and they was bringing Africans' asses here. I'm going to give it to you the way he said it. Jeffries accepts the Negroid appearance of the colossal head found in 1862 in the Canton of Tuxtla as valuable circumstantial evidence for his theory that Arab sailors were indulging in a Negro slave trade with Indians of Mesoamerica prior to Columbus' voyages to the New World. I knew Master was gonna say it. I didn't want to say that name, man. I don't want to say that name, bro, because boy, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. Now, I want to pause a little bit. I want to let that marinate, sizzle in your spirit. We ain't even got Arabs writing about a slave. We got Arabs writing about a slave trade called the Trans-Saharan. They enslaving people and taking their asses back over there in the Arab country, Arab world. We know that. We got evidence of that. But we ain't got no evidence of them shipbuilding and crossing the Atlantic to bring our black asses over here to the Indians, who we could kill with these old world diseases. No one is thinking about the fact that old world diseases is a reality. None, zero, zilch. None. So, finally, in 1962, a special correspondent for the newspaper Muhammad Speaks claims that the LV-1 was most definitely carved with a black man sitting as a model more than 1,300 years ago. What I'm trying to get you to see here is that there's a video out there with your boy, which one of them Muhammads? Farrakhan. Running around here talking about somebody asked him, are all black people the Native Americans? And he said, yeah. This would inspire his yeah. But he can't really succumb to that because it would be Arabs who enslaved us and brought our black asses over here, and he's supposed to be Afro-Asiatic. He's supposed to be Arab. So he can't succumb to that. Now, this fact helped the correspondent to prove that black men were first on earth. Helps the correspondent prove that black men were first on earth and were busy creating the civilization that greeted the white man who last to descend from the apes, was spending all his time living in caves. Williams and Heiser have made field investigation of the sources of the stone which colossal heads were carved within the context of general discussion of geology of the Olmec area. They note that the source locations of the stones, the stone heads, while the probable source of the Levante and San Lorenzo heads, then known as the Sierra Sintep, they further believe that the Olmecs utilized detached and rounded boulders for their sculptures rather than quarrying the lavas in situ. This talks about a removal location, but I need to let you know where some of these thought processes are coming from. Now, I don't want to bore y'all because it gets boring. But now you see the arguments formulating. Leo Weiner, Jeffries, and others bouncing these ideas around of Negroid features of statues. Not everybody is buying or believing this, but you had people that was dealing with that. So the colossal heads in relation to the Olmecs, of perhaps the greatest interest of the student of the works which consider the problem of the colossal heads in relation to Olmec tradition and its chronology. These studies take their impetus in large part from the late Mexican artist and art historian Miguel Covarrubias. Fascinated by the Olmecs from the beginning of the Sturgeon's work, he wrote continuously about them and sought their artifacts for this private collection up to the time of his death in 1957. While most of the Covarrubias work is concerned with the larger problems of placing the Olmecs in a time and space and their position in Mesoamerican high culture, he did make some comments pertaining solely to the heads. Covarrubias felt that the heads depicted fat, youthful personages with Negroid features wearing helmets rather like those for football, and that they were the product of fluorescence of the Olmec culture, a culture which probably existed during the Middle Pre-Classic. Covarrubias felt that the fact that the heads were meant to be simply heads without bodies, and that the Levante heads faced directly north and south might imply that they could have been astronomical sites or simply memorial monuments. So, again, I wanna like get into this in detail with y'all because I need y'all to see where scholarship was at one point in time. And that's the picture that I want to paint. And I want to stop it right there since I painted that picture, and I want to take you to another place, and we can always come back, but I want to take you to another place so that we can get busy. So I'm gonna unshare my screen, and then I need to get to something. And now shout out to the native historian. His name is Thomas Oklahoma. Okay, you can subscribe to his channel. The brother left some comments. I was trying to get him on, but we're going to take a look. Caleb Loud. We're going to take a look, right, at this video called Olmecs were Black African Debunked. This was seen 84,000 times. You probably never seen it. We're going to get into a little bit of it because I don't want to do too much on the brother video because he's monetized.
Some Afrocentrics like Van Sertima, may he rest in peace.
Can y'all hear that? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear that because the audio horrible. Let me know if you can hear it. I'm gonna wait a little bit, but I wanted to know if you could hear the audio. All right, okay, cool. Boom.
Have claimed that archaeologists had been hiding colossal heads with cornrows that prove their African origin. There are exactly 2 colossal heads with braids, not cornrows, sticking out of their helmets. I'd love to hear how you cornrow through a helmet. They are on public display in museums. So how are they hidden? As I have stated before, braids are well documented in Native American culture since before Egyptian times. Seriously, humans can do the same things in various places without needing classes from another continent. Tattoos, or scars? It still could have been done by Native Americans. Then we have the obsession of looking up early Spanish descriptions of Native American.
Now listen, I can't take the music. I can't. But y'all can go here and watch this. Okay? Now look. Nine years ago, Clyde Winters and other Afrocentrics used outdated sources from Dr. Wasinski and others as an often they misquote. And then he goes down and he provides the information right here to argue. The source here. Here. He gives you the source, okay? So he doesn't run from anything. He provides you with the information for you to go cross-check, verify, falsify, whatever you need to do. But I can't take the music. It's annoying as hell. So I want to go to the next video, which is an interview. Not this one, right here. Look, you see who he got on here, right? And I don't have no problem with this. Atlantis in Mexico. This your boy, Clyde Winters. He thinks the Olmec colossal heads are depicting himself. So he's making fun of him. He's mocking him right here. Right? He gets into all of that. Y'all see me scrolling at the bottom. Cause he got a lot of music on here, so that's why I ain't trying to really deal with it. I'm trying to show y'all. They are responding, but are you inviting them into a conversation? They are responding, but this is how they're responding, right? He did comment on a video that that I did the other day. That's the only reason why, and he thanked me and stuff like that. But like I said earlier, but it's just one of those things.
It was in 1858 that peasants in the village of Tres Zapotes in the Gulf of Mexico discovered an enormous stone head. The stone head weighed 10 tons, just a head, 10 tons. It was made of basalt stone, and it had vividly Africoid features, as Dr. Matthew Sterling was later to comment on it nearly a century later, that it was vividly African, vividly Negroid was his term. It had broad nose, very full lips. It was clearly one of the classical African types.
What Ivan van Sertima failed to realize is that wide nostrils and broad noses are not exclusive to Black African populations. Human populations living in warm tropical climates for thousands to tens of thousands of years have developed wide nostrils and broad noses, which is a natural adaptation to these climates. Wide nostrils and broad noses allows for better air circulation between the nose and lungs to help keep the lungs cool, which is crucial because the body struggles to sweat in warm, humid climates. These nose features also helps to bypass the need to breathe through the mouth during physical activity, thus preserving precious water in the body. Tropical indigenous populations are found in the tropical regions of Southern Asia, the Pacific Islands, West and Central Africa. Likewise, many tropical indigenous populations living in the Amazon, Central America, southern Mexico, and the American Southeast have developed wide nostrils and broad noses in these tropical regions. All these tropical human populations outside of sub-Saharan Africa have no Negroid DNA. All their broad features clearly evolved locally. As for full lips, these features can be found in any racial group, more so with tropical populations. The Black diaspora does not own full lips and broad noses. The Olmec art depiction of the diverse indigenous American phenotype was on point. The Olmecs had come across various diverse-looking people in their trade routes, and many diverse-looking people from across Mesoamerica and Central America immigrated to the Olmec kingdom when they began to expand over 2,000 years ago. The Olmec's immediate trade network spanned throughout Mesoamerica and into Central America. The Olmecs were also connected to relay trade networks that spanned from northern South America to southern regions of North America, including the Caribbean islands. The Olmecs were among the earliest cultural influencers of Native America. They helped spread the corn into North America and South America. The Olmecs came across so many diverse-looking people that they paid homage to them with their various small sculptures, jade masks, and colossal heads. Most of the small sculptures were lifelike depictions of various native phenotype, while their colossal heads were more of a crude depiction of the eyes and head, but they were on point with the nose and lips, which were depiction of tropical native phenotype. Perhaps they exaggerated the eyes and head. It certainly was a challenge for the Olmecs to carve accurate depictions of the eyes and head on such a large stone. After studying the various Olmec sculptures, I've noticed that they focused on 3 Native American phenotypes. I call these phenotypes the tropical Native American phenotype, the common Native American phenotype, and the classic Native American phenotype. These phenotype depictions represent a universal depiction of all natives of the Western Hemisphere. The smaller sculptures, and to a lesser extent the colossal heads, when compared to many natives across the Americas, reveals close resemblance in native phenotype features, because naturally most natives share at least some phenotype resemblance due to common origins. The Olmecs also recognize diversity in looks, which is a natural adaptation to various climates and environments. Most art depicted the commoners, traders, foreigners, immigrants, while some depicted the royalty. Some Olmec art depicted the classic Native American eye folds, which is found on most natives across the Americas, while other Olmec art depicted tropical phenotype features such as broad noses and full lips. The Olmec sculptures, jade masks, and to a lesser extent the colossal heads are closer depictions to Native American populations throughout the Americas. In this photo comparison, you can see the common epicanthic eye folds, high cheekbones, jaw lines, narrow nose, and prominent nose that is found throughout the Native American diaspora. The comparison also shows the tropical broad nose and full lips facial features found in tropical indigenous American populations. The descendants of the Olmecs still live around the San Lorenzo area of southern Mexico. Afrocentrists can nitpick and point out that some sculptures look African, while Eurocentrists can find another that looks European. Some Olmec sculptures look Chinese too. But like I said, the Olmecs gave a very good universal facial generalization of the Native American diaspora, which is diverse. It is possible that some populations in different racial groups can have similar facial features. However, the indigenous population of southeastern Mexico resemble the Olmec art the most. Just take a visit to San Lorenzo, Mexico, and see for yourselves. It's obvious that pseudo-Afrocentrists are ignoring the tropical native populations of Mesoamerica and Central America. The indigenous of southeastern Mexico have more flatter faces, round faces, and wider faces, which is not a common phenotype in sub-Saharan Africa. As you can see, sub-Saharan Africans generally don't have flat faces. Sub-Saharan African sculptures do not display round faces, wider faces, and flatter faces. The Olmec artwork is depicting the Native American diaspora. The Olmecs are Native American. It's obvious.
Basketball.
What you talking about, Donnie? What you saying in the chat? One more, man, and then we're gonna move on.
Mexican scientists have found the DNA of the Olmecs. This is bad news for those Afrocentrist and wannabe American Aboriginals who claim the Olmecs were ancient Black Americans.
Get 'em!
A recent 2020 DNA study was conducted by scientists from the National Autonomous University of Mexico.
What happened?
A geneticist named Enrique Villamar Becerril, working under the leadership of Ann Cyphers, who was the...
Let me pause this. I need to run it back. I need to run it back so y'all know exactly what he's saying. Listen very closely. Listen very closely to who does the study.
Mexican scientists have found the DNA of the Olmecs.
Who found the DNA of the Olmecs?
Have found the DNA of the Olmecs.
Who found the DNA of the Olmecs?
Mexican scientists have found the...
Who found the DNA of the Olmecs?
Mexican scientists have found the DNA of the Olmecs.
Hold on, what did you say? Who did what?
Mexican scientists have found the DNA of the Olmecs.
Nah, that's cap. You bullshit.
Mexican scientists have found the DNA of the Olmecs. This is bad news for those Afrocentrist and wannabe American Aboriginals who claim the Olmecs were ancient Black Americans. A recent 2020 DNA study was conducted by scientists from the National Autonomous University of Mexico. A geneticist named Enrique Villamar Becerril, working under the leadership of Ann Cyphers.
Get the name again, y'all. Get the geneticist's name again, y'all.
A geneticist named Enrique Villamar Becerril, working...
Look at the page. It's highlighted. It's in the end of the second. It says, but we found some in San Lorenzo, and Enrique Villamar Becerril, or however you say his name. It's the first name. He's a geneticist. See, when you ignore science, you succumb to the pseudoisms of lookership and believership, and you regurgitate out of ignorance. With these claims comes work. And these Mexicans, Mesoamericans, right? They got geneticists. They got archaeologists. They got paleontologists. They got all them people in all the fields of science, and that people want to keep on saying, white man, white man, white man. But what happens?
Of Mexico. A geneticist named Enrique Villamar Becerril, working under the leadership of Ann Cyphers, who was the leading anthropologist, have obtained the DNA haplogroup of two ancient Olmec remains. These two Olmec remains were found at the ancient Olmec site called San Lorenzo Tenochtitlan by a team of the National Autonomous University of Mexico. Leading anthropologist Ann Cyphers said that her team found mitochondrial DNA haplogroup A at this Olmec site that is over 2,000 years old. Geneticist Enrique Villamar Becerril took bone samples from the ribs to test. He found the mitochondrial DNA of the Olmecs, which is haplogroup A. Mitochondrial DNA is basically a genetic map of the mother's lineage passed on to sons and daughters, which can be traced going back tens of thousands of years. Haplogroup A, which is found in Native American mitochondrial DNA, is the most abundant among the founding and the current indigenous American population throughout the Americas. If any Mesoamerican populations such as the Olmecs had been Africans, then sub-Saharan African DNA such as haplogroup L would have been found everywhere across Mesoamerica, but it's not. Many university archaeologists and geneticists from around the world have studied Mesoamerican sites and many other Native American sites across the Americas. All these scientists have never found African DNA, African artifacts, nor any ancient African seafaring ships in Mesoamerica or the entirety of the Americas. We can also compare various writing systems between Africa and Mesoamerica and see obvious differences in symbols that make up letters or meaning. There is no evidence of any Egyptian, Nubian, or Malian influence on ancient Mayan, Aztec, or Olmec writing systems. These facts, along with new DNA evidence, discards all ancient African settler theories in Mesoamerica or the Olmecs being some ancient Black Aboriginal race. In the past, scientists could not find ancient Olmec burial sites to perform DNA tests. But as more burial remains are found and tested to be Native American, the hopes of pseudo-Afrocentrist and wannabe black aboriginals is destroyed. Let's be honest, without DNA evidence, their theories are dismantled. It's simple, ancient black Americans never existed. There is no DNA or archaeology evidence that they even existed. When we also consider that all ancient remains found across Mesoamerica have been DNA tested to be Native American, this debunks all Afrocentrist claims that the Olmecs were ancient black American. Furthermore, most ancient skulls found across Mesoamerica and across the...
Now, you heard the man when he said that they can't even find no burial remains of a so-called Aboriginal indigenous person that the blacks are claiming. So they can't even sequence no genome to prove. So now I want to take you back, right? I want to take you back to what I've been trying to tell people on the Science with Sean channel about the Paleo Indian, right? And the emergence of the emergence of populating the Americas, right? Remember, I did a show on Science with Sean that says people in the Americas. And I talked about the Paleo Indian. I talked about the last glacial maximum, how the Beringer opened up for them, the pathway for them to go. We know this because of mammoths. We got all the archaeological evidence. We got footprints. We got this. We got, you know, they were taking canoes. Yeah. We got all of that, right? I lined it all up. Then I said the genetic evidence says that these people descend from Southeast Asian, Siberians, and Oceania people. You had a North Native American pop, and you had a South Native American pop. And this is how we get these different type of people that will later on adapt and mutate and breed and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. We don't deal with the phenotype. We deal with the biology. The pheno don't tell us everything. The genealogy ain't going to tell us crap. What is your genetic makeup? What is your biology saying? That's what we need. Your makeup. Then that will help tell the complete story of you as a person and where you come from. But the point of the matter here is that there are no burial sites for these people who claim to be indigenous and native to this land. None. It's only a minute. 2 minutes left. Let me let them ride out.
The Americas have been proven by scientific consensus to have the shovel-shaped incisors or shovel-shaped dental trait, which are also found in today's Native American diaspora. These classic Native American dental traits are not found in any African or Negroid population. Afrocentrists often turn to craniometry as their evidence to try and prove many ancient skulls from across the Americas is African or Black Aboriginal in origin. But it's been proven by today's scientific consensus that craniometry isn't a reliable study to determine race, because many skulls from various racial groups can have similar skull shapes. The main purpose of craniometry has been used for racist eugenics by Eurocentric scientists in the past, such as when they tried to prove black people had low IQ. The best way to prove racial origin of any ancient remain is using the scientific studies of dental traits and DNA. Afrocentrists and black aboriginals often point to the wide nostrils and full lips.
So black aboriginals, indigenous, blacks, y'all are doing to the Native Americans what Europeans did to us with the scientific racism. That's just simply what he said to you without saying it. You're doing to them what Europeans did to us. You're trying to make them inferior. Let the man build.
Found on various Olmec colossal heads, claiming these facial features are their absolute evidence. Like I explained in my previous video, wide nostrils and full lips are not exclusive to Negroid population. Broad noses and wide nostrils are natural adaptation to warm tropical and humid climates. The various smaller and larger Olmec sculptures gave unique depictions of the various indigenous American phenotypes found across the Americas. Furthermore, there are still millions of Olmec descendants found in various indigenous ethnic and tribal groups of southern Mexico. These indigenous populations of southeast Mexico have the closest look to the Olmec colossal heads, especially in photo comparisons that compare facial shape characteristics. The Olmecs and their descendants have round, flat, and wide faces. In this photo comparison, you can see the rounder and flatter faces, as well as wider faces of many southern indigenous Mexicans, which are not general facial characteristics of sub-Saharan African or the entire Black diaspora. Not to mention the tropical Native American broad nose and full lip facial characteristics that are clearly displayed on the colossal heads. With the recent DNA evidence found that points the Olmecs to Native American haplogroup A, the Olmecs are clearly Native American. Nuff said.
All right, so let's see if he sources up. Here go the source. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Olmec colossal heads are Mesoamerican and non-African origin. Who writes this article? Who's the author? This was published September 11, 2021 on a Saturday. But let's see what else is attached to it. So there's a Finca Salona, Corzal Town, and his email right here. So could we email him and get evidence? I think that we can. We can email him to get evidence. But this is what I mean. These people are doing their own work. This is out of the Belize leading newspaper, Amandala. It says colonial Yucatan in the second half of the 1700s and two African settlements of villages by the name of San Francisco de Paula and San Fernando Aki, which have very interesting histories. However, in the curiosity to know about the Olmecs, I came across the following information, which I would like to share with you. Our dear readers of this column, it is as follows. Olmec colossal heads are Mesoamerican and non-African origin. University archaeologists discard the theory that oldest civilizations in Mesoamerica has its roots in Africa. They carried out studies of mitochondrial DNA and human remains found in archaeological sites in Veracruz. They confirmed the Olmecs belong to one of the most abundant groups among the populations founders and indigenous people of America. The origin of the colossal heads is not African, as has been rumored for 150 years, but Mesoamerican said Ann Cyphers, an academic, the Institute of Anthropological Research of the UNAM, who together with her collaborators have carried out studies in mitochondrial DNA to prove the identity of the Olmecs and the oldest civilizations in the land. The experts recall that the theories of African origin, the transoceanic migrations, I repeat, transoceanic migrations are deeply rooted in the collective imagination. So it's been very difficult to shake off these ideas. And Cypher discovered in 1994 that most of the recent 17 Olmec heads known so far found in archaeological sites of San Lorenzo, Tenechalin, and Veracruz explained that these thesis dates from 1869, as I shown earlier. Remember those things that I was reading earlier, 1869 was all up in there. Was proposed by Jose Maria Melgar. Y'all remember that name, Melgar. Remember, I said Melgar, who reported the first colossal head in what is now the Trezepes of Veracruz. At the time of the existence of the Olmec culture was not known, and Melgar proposed that the features of the sculptures corresponded to characters from Ethiopia, Black people, more than anything because of the facial features. Hence, the speculations was born and the controversy was formed in the hearts of Olmec archaeology. All right. For the researcher, the wide and flattened features of the faces of the colossal heads are explained by the fact that the thrones of rulers where the large prism were recycled to make the sculptures. Reusing the thrones was important because in addition to being a symbol of ruler, This prevented bringing more rock from other towns. Since they wanted the head to be as large as possible, they accommodated the image of the ruler in the prism in the face of the deformed. That greatly clarifies the why of compressed features. It is understood, for example, the nose and the wide mouth, because no head has projecting elements. Everything is compact glued. It is part of the prism. DNA studies and excavations carried out over the years, the Olmec sites and scientifically studying various pieces of the civilization, university archaeologists have found no African artifacts. Excuse me. This is the first line of investigation that discards the origin of the continent. The second line contemplates DNA studies, which before could not be done because there were no Olmec burials. The ones that had been found were in dust, but we found some in San Lorenzo, Tenechalin, and Enrique Villamar Bercerel, a collaborator of my group, did the study of the mitochondrial DNA, he explained. In this regard, Villamar indicated that two burials were sampled, one in Lomar del Zapi and another in San Lorenzo. From these two individuals, a bone sample was taken from the rib and underwent a procedure to obtain their mitochondrial DNA, the lineage that the mother provides to the individual because it is more feasible to recover it from the archaeological remains. This is how he managed to classify that genetic information called haplogroup. The genetic diversity mitochondrial DNA can be classified according to the similarities that exist in various individuals and that they may share some mutations that make them different from other individuals in the different geographic regions of the world. These differences make it possible to define which group they belong to, and thus mitochondrial DNA is classified into haplogroups. We obtained the haplogroup of these two subjects and we learned that they belong to A, one of the most abundant among the foundings of the indigenous populations of America. If they had been Africans, the haplogroup would be L, which is characteristic of these populations, he highlighted. Furthermore, Cypress noted, if they were African genetic material in the Olmecs, it would not only be seen in the burials, but in later populations, since haplogroup L, which was not found here, would have been preserved. In 300 Mesoamerican burials from different periods is not present. Regarding the discovery of the colossal head 17, he commented, we were looking for houses and suddenly it appeared. It was like a dream. Each new thing contributes to changing the perception of what the culture was like. Describing the Olmec, Cypher said, they were the first civilization of Mesoamerica, powerful rulers in a world of civilization. So that brings us back to very first article we started with, right? And why they're writing what they're writing and how they're writing what they're writing. Over time, more and more evidence propelled itself. In Van Sertima's work, there's like, how many renditions of his work? I think it's 17 editions of the book. It might be more than 17. I'm tripping, I can't remember. I know it's high. It's like, it's in the high teens, if not 20s of his book. And then the misuse of sources, right? And so here we go, just to add on to the colossal head, since that's the main theme right now. The main piece of evidence presented by Van Sertima are the monumental carved Baltic Olmec heads. To the lay observer, it seems at first glance that these gray-black look heads with their thick lips and flat noses. So as we had the brother Angel play the claim, I'm coming back here just to let you know that Van Sertima did say those things. And this article is, showing what a Nubian looks like, what other Africans look like, and then boom, they hit you with the Olmec heads. So they have the supportive evidence to refute the claim that the Olmec heads were African because they found the symbolic meaning of the Olmec heads. Then they found the burials of the peoples that were living in the area hundreds of years ago, sequenced their genome, which linked them to haplogroup A, and removes the thought process of any type of Negroid or Ethiopian race being in the presence, because the L haplogroup has not been found over here, which is significant. And it dang sure ain't in North America either, which is significant. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen real quick. I don't know if there's any contention, but I did leave a gang of information. I did provide a gang of access to all the information provided in this particular bill. I'm gonna let you conclude however you want to conclude, but I would highly recommend and suggest that you go in the description of this video and you access the sources and you comb through those sources and you gain a better understanding of the evidence and why information was going this way and that way, and then what made it subside. But if it was not for the help of the Mesoamerican geneticists, archaeologists, and otherwise, we would still have people painting this picture that does not need to be painted at all. Cocaine mummies, boy, I can't believe it. But we have to pay attention to those things, and we have to deal with them how we want to deal with them. Now, the link to this video, I put the link to join the chat in the chat. But I know Sutek probably talking about boxing or USF or something because it's fight night. And whoever he rooting for gonna lose. Oh yeah, Shakur fight tonight. Yeah, Shakur probably ain't fights about another 30. When Shakur fighting, about 30 more minutes? The Marauder script, I think, is 200 BCE. The Marauder script, man, that's issues with the Marauder script. That'll kill all of them. That kills all of them too. They can't even use it. Yeah, it's on ESPN. Ugh. Did the A1 guy say that he can't find Albo in his genealogy? I don't know. But y'all remember that dude who said he had all the he said he had all the blood types. He had A, B, and O. That was funny. So he was serious too. He was dead serious. Let me see if I can find something y'all real quick, man, before we transition. All right, so this is for Sutek. Sutek, this for you, bro. I wanna play this for you specifically. Let me know if y'all can hear the audio.
The YouTube user known as the Research Guy is the typical wannabe Black Aboriginal.
Can y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that audio? You said no or yes. Could y'all hear the audio? All right, cool.
He loves to claim nearly all indigenous Americans, such as the Olmec, Mayans, Choctaw, and even the Inuit were originally black. I have yet to see the research guy or any Wabo provide DNA evidence of these so-called black Aboriginal Americans. Instead, they try to pass off blood type RH as evidence to create a pseudo-connection between Native Americans, black Americans, and his mythical black Aboriginal race. DNA is the building blocks of life. DNA does not lie. DNA is the best way to determine racial grouping, while blood type only reveals what type of blood a person has, which isn't DNA evidence. Racial groups such as Black Americans do have Rh blood type, but that is also found in some Eurasian populations. Any particular blood type can be found in different racial groups because we are all humans. Furthermore, it's impossible to collect blood from ancient remains to prove an origin to a particular continent because blood is the first to decompose. Using the scientific studies of haplogroup DNA is the best way to determine any person's racial ancestry and the origins of any racial group going back as far as 100,000 years ago. Decades of peer-reviewed scientific studies has already determined the origins of all racial groups. There is no DNA evidence that these black Aboriginals even existed. All these black Aboriginals are really self-hating African Americans who wish to connect to Native American history rather than with their West African origins. Using 2 screenshots taken from websites displaying the DNA results of Native Americans and Black Africans, now let's compare DNA between Native Americans and Black Africans. Native Americans have the A, B, C, D, and X2A haplogroups, while Black Africans fall under 2 haplogroups which are L and M. A simple ancestry DNA test will reveal either the L or M haplogroup, which will point any Black American to West Africa, including those who self-identify as Black Aboriginal. As you can see on this DNA haplogroup map that was created by peer-reviewed DNA consensus, there is no existence of Black Aboriginal Americans. Any individuals who are mixed with Black and Native American blood is obviously post-Columbian. The research guy also brings up old outdated craniometry studies from pseudoscientists. He tries to pass off craniometry as his evidence of ancient Black Aboriginals. First of all, craniometry, which is the study of skull shape, has been proven by modern-day scientific consensus that craniometry is not a reliable study to determine race, because similar cranial measurements and skull shape can be found in any racial group. Skull shapes can change from one generation to another due to forces of the environment and changes in lifestyle and so on. Secondly, craniometry has been used by Eurocentrics to claim African kings were European based on similar skull-shape comparisons. Craniometry has also been used to try to prove Black people have low IQ. The historical purpose of craniometry studies has been used for eugenics and pseudo-racialism. Only the peer-reviewed studies of dental traits and DNA can find the accurate identity of any ancient remains across the world. All ancient remains across the Americas always have the shovel-shaped dental trait and DNA markers that show Native American origin. All ancient Native American skulls who were claimed to be either African or European using craniometry has always been proven otherwise to be Native American by the studies of DNA and dental traits. One example of craniometry study that the research guy and other Black Aboriginals use is the 12,500-year-old Luzia skull found in Brazil. They try to use Luzia to prove a connection to the ancient Americas, which is based on outdated studies. Anthropologist Walter Neves first suggested that Luzia is Aboriginal from Australia based on his original craniometry study. He was not talking about so-called Black Aboriginals. If we are to buy into all these craniometry studies, then we must take into account that Luzia has been matched up to Paleo-Indians from ancient Brazil based on newer peer-reviewed skull comparisons, and that several Paleo-Indian remains found near Luzia and throughout Brazil and the Americas have been DNA tested to be Native American. Luzia and her Paleo-Indian people are Native American. Walter Neves was shown new peer-reviewed studies, and based off those studies he concluded that Luzia is Paleo-Indian. Furthermore, all Paleo-Indians have been shown to have the same shovel-shaped dental trait and haplogroup DNA throughout the Americas, including in the same burial site of Luzia. The research guy has brought up some old post-Columbian Black American graves from the Virgin Islands. He tried to present these graves as Black Aboriginal, Once again, his source is another pseudo-source which is not backed up by the peer review, which was shown to be a post-Columbian grave site. All the earliest Black American grave sites found across the Americas has been proven to be either post-Columbian Gullah, freedmen, or Maroon peoples. The research guy also claimed that all Native American tribes, such as the 5 civilized tribes, reject Black people. He often screams racism as if that's going to make tribes accept any Black people who have no kinship to tribes or don't meet enrollment requirements like blood quantum or lineage. People who have both Native American and Black ancestry are known today as Afro-Indigenous. There are tens of thousands of Afro-Indigenous people who are enrolled into tribes throughout North America. Afro-Indigenous are a post-Columbian mixed population, but the wannabe Aboriginals always try to blur the lines between real Afro-Indigenous and the mythical race of ancient Black Aboriginals. All modern-day Native American tribes, such as the 5 civilized tribes, are not Black Aboriginal. I call out the research guy to prove otherwise. He has literally no evidence other than superficial similarities, revisionist racialism, and pseudo-sources. He and the Aboriginals have yet to give us the names of their tribes, their languages, and show us examples of their cultures and their evolution in the Americas. They have no history to reconstruct because they never existed. The research guy needs to come clean and accept the fact that he and all Black Americans are direct descendants of either Black African slaves or African immigrants. It was Eurocentrists who first began to culture vulture on Native America. They claimed ancient remains such as Kennewick Man, which was debunked by the peer-reviewed studies of DNA and dental traits. The studies revealed that Kennewick Man is Native American. Following in the footsteps of Eurocentrists, these Afrocentric pretendians have picked up the mantle. This is all indigenous erasure. Black Americans are part of the Black diaspora. They are direct descendants of West African slaves brought to the Americas. They are part of a history of Africa that rivals any in the world. They come from a history that is real. They come from beautiful sub-Saharan African cultures. Black Americans have made many contributions to the United States, and they fought hard to overcome slavery. There is no need for any Black American to culture vulture on Native America to build pride in themselves. Now let's celebrate the history and culture of Native America. Thanks for watching.
That was for Sutek, because he's been watching the research guy video, so I just want to let him know, you know what I'm saying? Bro had put on a post that he had been working to challenge some of the information of the research guy who does no research and doesn't know these studies, and therefore explicitly shows his handicaps. So we need evidence. It's in the description of the video, bro. Go on the description of the video, and I put the link to his channel, so you can click on it and go directly to his channel. He also does a very good job with recent Native American history. You know, he talked about the Iroquois confederacies, Seminole stuff, the Inca, the mound builders, the first people in Americas. He does all of that stuff. You know, you let these people fight their own fight, and you just kind of get out of the way of it. You know what I mean? Because eventually what'll end up happening is they'll see that there's a majority of us that don't hold to the superstitious beliefs of some of the teachings that are in our community. And therefore, we're working to clean up that information respectfully and to let people know what it is. You know what I mean? So he has a lot of information, bro, or videos on his channel that you could review, and hopefully, you know, you find what you're looking for over there for him. But nah, I mean, we lay it out for y'all over here, man, on this side. We don't have no problem correcting our elders. We don't have no problem correcting our own mistakes. We have no problem recognizing our mistakes as long as you have the evidence to overturn our position. Man, so you can't even, I don't even think they posted in the chat, bro. That link you put. I already got it in the description, though. It's in the description. All you got to do is click on the description link in this video, and oh boy, you'll be able to find them. So I'm gonna drop the link again, man. I don't think we had too many people that want to contend to this, but if there was people out there that actually wanted to challenge the information, there's a lot of information that they want to challenge. If they want to go back to a source that they would assume validates or their position, then we could deal with it. Donnie, you had asked a question earlier about why the elders used the information that they had at the time. And just to keep it short, and I've said this before, look at the year that all of this information was coming out, in the like the 1900s. In this period, you have a Western ideology dominating the history books. So Russia, the Jews, Chinese, well, all the other people in the world, right? They didn't agree with Western history, so they began to refute and dispute it. So there was this movement of history, or this wave of information that was coming from all sorts, but no one was telling the African story. Africa was completely ignored in this information movement. And for our elders, with the information that they took what they had to fight our fight. Whether it was bad information or good bad information or unsubstantiated information, they used what they had to fight our fight. And based on that, new information that mainstream media wasn't talking about or reporting, it led to a lot of methodological mistakes and adhering to said experts who didn't have the actual qualifications. And I do believe there was a misinterpretation of information regarding a lot of people. So with what they had, they tried to fight the fight and write us into history when people was writing us out of history, and a lot of mistakes was made. So at the end of the day, that led to where we are today. And as Sutek said, it was a counter to the European narrative, basically, in short. We don't know where the research guy at, bro. We don't know where he hiding. He hiding over there, man. I don't think he want no work, bro. Do you think this dude want work? There's a lot of information. And Vasa, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but I think what you're talking about might be outdated and misrepresented. Because wasn't no damn Ethiopian shipwrecks nowhere. They weren't even building ships. So I'll wait till you can send that. You can send that. Yeah, we can beat that up real quick. You on the dig. He was supposed to go live yesterday, set up a show, but never went live. I don't know nothing about the research guy, bro. Maybe he succumbed to his pseudoisms, because he didn't know that YK would be coming back with videos and not really just dealing with him, but you know what I mean? He's fighting a whole nother fight of people who actually doing a little bit information, and he like, hold on, these dudes got this, they got that, yada 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 yada. They dispelling this, dispelling that. You feel me? Like we really can go behind his work and his videos and correct him like we did the other day. And I don't think he like that. I don't think he like it at all. Man, I want some chicken. Usually when I want some chicken, bro, I just need some portobello mushrooms. So maybe I need some Longhorns. Give me a appetizer. Mushroom appetizer. That's what I need. Mother 5. Let me see what time they close. Maybe I'm too late. Longhorn. I think I'm late. Yep. They close. They close in 15 minutes. And you know when you call in, they're going to be monkey and be like the kitchen closed, knowing the kitchen open like a mug. Shrooms is bomb. It's bomb, no cap. Yeah, I tear portobellos up. I be sauteing them junks. I don't need no Popeyes. Cane's is better than Popeyes. He said you a pseudo vegan. I ain't even vegan, vegetarian. I got real steaks marinating in garlic, avocado oil, and seasoning. You ready for the fight? You should have already had that cooked. Talking about you marinate. What you trying to do? Make Sunday dinner? What you got all of that marinating on for Sunday dinner? You doing all that for Sunday dinner, bro. You being a true Christian, ain't you? You having a big day tomorrow. You going to get that old stale cracker and grape juice. Cane's fries is the best fries. Cane's is busting. Bro, you tripping. Straight up. Cane's fries is better than Zaxby's. House's got some fries that be busting. I'm gonna show y'all my veggie burger that I got from House's. It was barbecue, vegan burger. It had onion rings on it and everything. Seasoned fries. That joke was busting. Okay, whatever you say, man. That's how you feel. Popeye's trash up here. And Sean, bro, you got to do a show in the white supremacist state legislation. No, bro. I've been ignoring that. Bro, because it pissed me off. You know what I mean? Everybody in Tennessee or in Nashville that I know, like the women and stuff like that on Facebook, and even some brothers from my city, they've been posting about that. It's pure racism. It's pure racism. And then they had the brothers in there holding up the black fist. You know what I'm saying? It's a Republican state, bro. Ain't nothing we can do about it. Nothing we can do about it, bro. They gonna do what they gonna do. For those of y'all who don't know, or very unfamiliar to it, Tennessee passed the new Tennessee law passed. Stupid law. Stupid law. On March 6th, let me show y'all this. The House adopted Amendment 1 and passed House Bill 878 as amended. Nah, not that bill. I need the other one. Let's do it loud. All right, so they got a whole lot of stuff that's going on with legislation here in Tennessee. But when this transpired, it made national news. And not to mess up or muddy this show, but it talked about these two brothers right here who got kicked out the House. Right? Tennessee House votes to expel 2 of 3 Dems, both black, over gun protests. So it's just the way that they have the ability to be able to do things. And when you have a predominantly Republican House, they can do whatever they want if you're protesting stuff. Because you remember, man, they all about their guns. They all about their guns. So it's heart-wrenching. But it's more. It's a lot of other stuff that they doing down there, man. I just try not to get caught up in the stupid stuff. Yeah, they spared her. Yeah, they did. They spared her. She was part of it too. The lady in the picture, she was part of it too, and they let her stay and kick the 2 brothers out. And look, see, this is why you don't watch the fight, because it's already over in the second round. Who just got knocked out in the second round? It ain't even the big matchup, is it? Who got? Bruh, please don't tell me. I ain't even cut ESPN on yet. I was waiting till 11 o'clock. I'm gonna make salmon nuggets one day. Oh, knockdown, not knockout. Oh, okay. Oh no. ESPN. Sean, is it a lot of gerrymandering in Tennessee? You finna knock him down again. Come on, man. Quit playing with the kid, bro. Salmon nuggets, I ain't never made them before, but when I make them, they're gonna be fire. Yeah, Sutek's tripping. Gerrymandering? I don't know, bro. I don't even want to lie to you. Let me look it up. Let's look it up and see. Gerrymandering in Tennessee. I don't see it in Tennessee per se, but probably so. Gerrymandering is a corrupt practice that ensures boundary benefit. Yeah. The answer to your question would be yes, because the Tennessean dropped an article in 2022. Tennessee lawmakers gerrymandered Nashville. So that's the answer to your question right there. 9 times 9. Here go the answer to your question right there. Boom. Right hook upstairs. Oh, let me be quiet because I got real time TV and I'm way ahead of Sutek. He way behind. Tennessee lawmakers gerrymandered Nashville because they could. It isn't right. Yep, they did that. And the new zones, they like rezoning because all these new people are moving into the city. So they're using gentrification to reclassify so they can vote people out of certain districts. They're doing all kind of stuff 9 times 9. Oh, look. Sute said he watching in real time. I thought you was on the internet. How many rounds y'all think this gonna go? Bro. All right, so look. Black Panther, what's up, brother? MJ or LeBron? MJ, LeBron or Kobe? Kobe. Oh yeah. You already know Kawhi Leonard gonna say MJ all day. Come on, man. Kawhi know what the deal is. I just want to throw that out there. You know what I'm talking about? MJ all day. But nah, yeah. Sutek said 5th or 6th. Hugh says 9. I think it might be about the 9th round too, Hugh. I think it might be. So yeah, man. Kawhi, my boy. Yeah, Kawhi, your boy. And listen, if Jordan apologized to Isaiah switch up. Isaiah just mad as hell at Jordan. He still mad. He gonna say anything against MJ. Scottie Pippen too. Roper dope. Yeah, man. Look. I'm gonna end this show right here, bro. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening, man. Appreciate it. Thank everybody for tapping in. Go watch that fight, man. Spears are flying, pseudos are crying.